Kandake, or the Candace, commonly referred to as Candace. And it's kind of funny, we read history. History speaks of these great queens of Meroe, and every queen they refer to as Candace. You're like, well, wow, how many Candaces were there? Was the Candace that fought the Romans in 24 BC? Was the Candace that was ready for her troops to fight Alexander when after Alexander conquered the Persian Empire, which Egypt encompassed at that time, which was in 330 BC? So which Candace are we referring to? When we come to find out, when we look at the language, we understand what the word Kandake, which was misinterpreted as Candace, we understand that that's the word in Meroitic for queen. So they were just saying queen, as opposed to the name of an individual. Historically, we look at the kingdom of Meroe. Meroe does not really begin to thrive until about the 4th century BC. Around the 300 and something BC period, up until about 300 AD. So about 600 years, Meroe thrives as a great, great civilization. Before Meroe, again, we had Napata. Napata begins to merge around the turn of maybe the 9th century BC, up until somewhere around the 4th century, when the kingdom began to move south. There's actually accounts or records, if you will, of Meroe and Napata existing simultaneously. So it's really unsure of when actually one ended and when the other one began. We know around the time, like I said, the 4th century, the power base, or the influx moved south. But I believe that Napata was always reverenced perhaps as the great, not only because their ancestors were there, but also the great temple of Juwan, the holy mountain of Jemabaku was there, the temple of Amen. And that was the seat of power. That was the seat of actually what they refer to as the seat of God. So no matter if it was a Meroe at that time, I believe the Meroites would have made their pilgrimages north to Napata, not only to commune with their ancestors, but to be where it actually all began.
Kandake, also known as Candace, was the title for queens and queen mothers of the ancient African empire of Kush, aka Nubia. The name Candace and its variants derived from the title Kandake. There were several Kandakes, but today we will examine Kandake of Meroe. In 332 BC, Alexander the Great attempted to conquer Kush. Therefore, Kandake of Meroe arranged her armies strategically to meet him and was present on her war elephant when he approached. She placed her armies and waited for the Macedonian conqueror to appear for battle. Alexander approached the field, and when he saw Kandake's army displayed in such brilliant military formation, he stopped. After studying the array of warriors waiting with such deadly precision and realizing that to challenge Kandake could quite possibly be fatal, he turned his armies away.
Next we have the Nubian queen, Mann. Powerful Nubian queens known as Gore, meaning ruler, and more importantly, Kandake, or queen mother, are a key feature of ancient Nubian society. Interestingly, the word Kandake was altered into the name Candace in English. One of the most powerful Kandakes was Queen Mann. In 24 BC, Nubia was threatened by the Roman Empire. Egypt was already under the subjugation of Rome, and the Nubians were constantly raiding their Egyptian neighbors. On one of these journeys, the Queen Mann was confronted. She led her armies into battle and defeated 3 Roman cohorts. In addition, she defaced a statue of the Roman Emperor Augustus Caesar. She brought the head back to Nubia as a prize, where it was buried in the doorway of an important building as an affront to the Roman king. During the battle, Mann lost an eye. The one-eyed Candace, as the then Roman governor Gaius Petronius now referred to her, was pushed by the Romans far into her own territory. Rome and Nubia carefully negotiated a treaty, but the queen would intentionally violate it just a few years later. Queen Mann was one of the most powerful queens and military tacticians in history. Now the spotlight is on you.
Not only kings are buried in the pyramids of Meroe. After the 3rd century BC, a series of strong queens occupied the throne and may have been co-regents. One of the most powerful ruled near the time of Christ, just before the temple of Dan Gale was probably constructed.
Manishakheto is a really powerful Nubian queen. She's carrying bows and arrows. These are traditionally the accoutrements of a man. She's got prisoners tied up. There's a good possibility that she actually fought off the Romans.
In 23 BC, Roman soldiers attacked the Nubian kingdom. According to their accounts, the Nubian resistance was led by a valiant woman, blind in one eye, who scholars believe may be a Manishakheto. The queen successfully stopped the Romans from overtaking her kingdom and even brokered a favorable peace treaty. Though faint, traces of a Manishakheto's imposing figure can still be seen on the walls of her offering chapel.
She's a larger woman, so it shows how powerful she is. It's also part of the Meroitic impression of beauty. She's well-fed. She's wearing a lot of bracelets on her arms, rings on her fingers. She would have been covered in gold. She was a very lucky lady to have a lot of this jewelry.
Manishakheto's royal cache first came to light in 1834, when an Italian explorer, Giuseppe Ferlini, traveled to the Sudan, eager, as he claimed, to make some useful contribution to history. In fact, he was really searching for gold. Ferlini hoped to make a fortune selling antiquities back in Europe. His greed led him to the pyramid fields of Meroe. According to his diary, Ferlini directed his workmen to dismantle Manishakheto's tomb at nearly 100 feet high, one of the best preserved in the cemetery. While his men labored under the punishing rays of the desert sun, Ferlini took it easy in the shade. The excitement began when a faithful servant summoned him from the top of the pyramid.
I got up and raced over, my heart filled with hopes of some delightful adventure.
At the summit, Ferlini reported that his men had discovered a chamber hidden beneath the stones. From within emerged a bronze bowl filled with objects wrapped in cloths of linen. Ferlini had hit the jackpot.
As it became evening, I brought the discovered objects to my tent, and after all the servants had given over to sleep, I pulled out the precious objects and studied them with my soul filled with joy. I admired the gold, and on seeing the quantity of it, I realized it had to exceed greatly all that which I knew was spread through the museums of Europe.
Ferlini had discovered a dazzling hoard of jewels. Today, much of this cache is housed in Munich's Egyptian Museum. Gold bracelets covered with decorative bands of fused glass. Ornamental pendants bearing images of the gods. And dozens of heavy gold rings, some incised with the figure of Amun.
This is one of the greatest treasures ever found in Nubia. It gives us a very good idea of what the kings and the queens would have been wearing at the time.
Though Ferlini's raid did bring the incredible cache to light, a price was paid for the discovery. The explorer's ruthless quest for gold destroyed Manishakheto's pyramid.
This is the top corner of an altar. It's also, as I said, quite heavy, so it took a lot of muscle to break this piece into the numerous pieces that you see here.
Luckily, though the altar was destroyed, a crucial piece remains intact.
We turned up this piece.
It's the missing part of the cartouche Julie and Salah have been searching for. Now they can decipher the name of the ruler who built this temple. and is not a king.
The royal name is Marie Ka Ra, and that's one of the names of Queen Amanitori.
The temple is no longer anonymous. Now it has a ruler and an age. Amanitori is another powerful Nubian queen who ruled during the 1st century AD.
We actually know what the queen looked like. This is her crown right here. The crown, the front of the crown has a double uraeus. That's 2 snakes with a little sun disk at the top of each head. And then this is her nose coming down in her profile. And she has an ear and a little earring right on this side. And she's got a big chubby cheek here. Her weight signifies that she has beauty, fertility, she has enough to eat, and she can produce children.
Queen Amanitori and her co-regent King Natakamani reigned over Nubia during the time of Christ. Together, this powerful couple honored the gods by building more temples than almost any other Nubian rulers. The complex at the site of Naga, 125 miles to the south, is an impressive testament to their devotion. An avenue of ram statues leading up to the temple pays homage to Amun and hints at what the sands of Dangale may still be hiding. Like all Nubian rulers, King Natakamani and Queen Amanitori would have been officially crowned first at Jebel Barkal. From there, they would have visited many of the most important temples in their kingdom, like Dangale, to be crowned ceremonially by Amun.
Amanitori and Natakamani approached the temple, Dangale, by boat, sailing up the Nile. And then they would have headed towards the main sanctuary.
The Amun temple complex would have appeared like a mirage on the horizon.
And then as you approached the temple, there would have been 2 massive doors blocking your entrance, hiding the secrets inside.
Led by the high priests, Queen Amanitori and King Natakamani would enter the temple, followed by their courtiers, and proceed to the inner sanctuary.
They would lift incense up, and so the place would be smoky and smelling of frankincense. They would have made offerings to the god Amun. And then the priests of Amun, speaking for the god Amun, would have indicated who the successor, who the next king was going to be. And then the crowning would take place. The king is officially crowned by Amun. So presumably that would be by his representative, the high priest of Amun.
Though access to the inner sanctuaries was restricted to priests and royalty, other parts of the temple were open to pilgrims from more humble backgrounds.
We found a footprint inscribed in the paving stones of the first court. It's graffiti that's been left by a pilgrim who came to visit the temple. This would show the god and other pilgrims that this person had come to visit the temple. It's a very human thing. It's something that somebody actually came and did as an act of personal piety, as an act of faith. It's very easy to get stuck in the material and the columns and the paving stones. This is a nice reminder, because as an archaeologist it shows us that people actually visited the temple and they actually worshipped here, and it was part of their everyday life.